My name is Martha Ruch. I'm a staff attorney at Asian Americans Advancing Justice, Los Angeles.
What does the function or the job of Asian American Advancing for Justice do in LA?
So Asian Americans Advancing Justice LA is the largest civil legal aid organization representing the Asian American community in the United States. We do impact litigation, policy work, and direct legal services. The legal services include family law, domestic violence, housing foreclosure, citizenship, and immigration, which is what I do. Within the immigration department, we do general consultations, community trainings, know your rights trainings, and deportation defense, both for detained immigrants, so we do visits to detention centers, and for non-detained immigrants who receive a notice in the mail to go to court.
How do we get your information if you need some help, for example, like for deportation and stuff like that?
So calling our main intake lines, we have about 7 in-language phone intakes, including Khmer. If you look us up on the internet, you'll be able to see the full list of hotlines. So that's probably the best way without being able to post them here. But if you look up Advancing Justice Los Angeles online, you'll be able to see all of the intake numbers. And even if you just have a general question like, need a referral or want to be oriented, you can call the intake lines and they can either schedule you for an appointment if it's something that we can help with, and otherwise to give you a referral, hopefully.
Is there a fee involved for example, like a family that is being deported and needs some help and stuff like that?
So for deportation defense, all of our work is free. So all of our representation in immigration court, detention visits, and also the litigation that we do. So we recently, there's a lawsuit against ICE on behalf of Cambodian community members who had old deportation orders but were never deported and are getting re-detained by ICE and put on planes to Cambodia. So all of that work, everything that's about deportation defense, is free. The family-based petitions are fee-based but very low fees. So it's like $50 for a consultation for family petitions.
That is pretty cheap.
Relative to what people sometimes end up paying, I think so.
Yeah. For the person or for the guy who got deported to Cambodia already, that you just said put it in the plane and then send them already there.
Yeah.
Is there any chances for them to come back here, or?
It really varies on the individual case, because for people who came as refugees and got their green card, usually their green card was revoked or they were charged with deportation because of a crime. And sometimes the crime isn't something that they can fix. Other times it can be possible to get a governor's pardon or some other kind of what's called post-conviction relief, right? So after you've gotten a criminal conviction, to go back and remove it from your record, at least so that it doesn't affect your immigration status anymore. So with that said, if somebody's already in the process of doing post-conviction relief or has an application for a governor's pardon, if they've been removed to Cambodia, they have a much better chance of having their crimes removed, and once that happens, they can apply to come back. But for other people, it's really, really tough. Like a lot of times, actually being removed from the United States is like a physical barrier that just, it makes it more difficult, even if the legal arguments are still available.
For example, you just said earlier that when they come here as a refugee, they have a green card and they got revoked after a certain amount of a year.
It's not about time, it's about getting a criminal conviction. Yeah. So lawful permanent residency, as the name suggests, is usually permanent unless you leave the country for a long time, like more than 6 months at a time, or if you have a criminal conviction that is of a certain type. Like sometimes it doesn't matter if it's a felony or a misdemeanor. It depends on the type of crime. Like if it's a theft offense, it can be a deportable crime. Domestic violence can be a deportable crime even if it's a misdemeanor. Certainly felonies and violent felonies tend to be something that can disqualify you from immigration relief and have your green card revoked.
How many times do they have to, cross the offense for the federal government to deport them? Like first time only, or second time, third time?
Sometimes it's the first time. It depends on the type of crime. Now, for Cambodian immigrants, the situation's a little different because historically, even when our government orders someone from Cambodia deported, the Cambodian government doesn't always have the practice of authorizing those deportations. That the Cambodian government has the last say in giving what's called a travel document that would allow the person to get on a plane and leave. And so over past years, Cambodia denies deportations to more people than they were granting. And so for a lot of people, they would go through the immigration system, often unfortunately from inside of detention, but after they lost their case, because the Cambodian embassy would not issue a travel document or authorize their deportation, they would be allowed to stay in the United States and released back into the community. So what's happening now with the people being put on planes is just that our federal government has negotiated with the Cambodian government and said, hey, Cambodia, we're not okay with you disobeying us anymore. You need to authorize these travel documents when we ask you to. And so the Cambodian government has been cooperating with our government and has been going back through the lists of people with deportation orders and re-detaining them with the purpose of scheduling travel document interviews and issuing those travel documents. And what's incredibly unfair is that a lot of these people went through their immigration process 10, 15, 20 years ago and have been living in the community peacefully since then. And the only things that's changed is that the Cambodian government agreed to put their name on a list this year. So it's something that our organization is fighting. So there's federal litigation going on suing ICE saying, hey, if this person who's under ICE supervision hasn't done anything wrong, you can't re-detain him without notice. And people would go to an ICE check-in and leave their car parked and it would get tickets and things like that. And it's like, hey, this man's not a criminal, he's a dad.
So what you're saying is that if the person has committed a crime 10 years ago, and now, because of the Cambodian government allow that list to come in, then the ICE is going to pick them up?
Yes.
Even though it's 10 years ago?
Yes. Because unfortunately, once people have a criminal conviction on their record, it stays there for life, unless you go back and do some post-conviction relief, a legal process, or there's a number of different options generally to get it removed or reduced on your record. Similarly, if you've gone through the immigration system, if you've been ordered deported, that's there permanently also unless you go back and reopen your case. Yeah, so that's what's going on. It's people who have a deportation order but are still here in the United States because Cambodia wouldn't accept them. But now Cambodia has changed their mind pretty much because our government coerced them into doing that. Basically, yeah, it was through negotiations but through visa sanctions. So our government said, hey, Cambodia, we're not going to give you your government officers tourist or business visas unless you start cooperating with us. Yeah, so because of these visa sanctions, Cambodia has started to go back and try to pick up those people who weren't able to be deported before.
Basically, it's the
If you don't take sandwiches, you can't feel so
We'll take
bad.
them. We will take your sandwich.
At the last minute, I asked for 10 extra. and
We are
now
on
I'm picking
carbohydrate.
which is
Okay, take
even though
Okay.
they
4
have
boxes.
some kind of like small criminal record, which is 10 years or 15 years ago, now they just go and grab by the eyes and then just send them back because of the list is open now.
Because of the people, yes, but it's not just that they have a crime, it's a crime that resulted in the person getting a deportation order.
Right.
Those are the people where it's very easy for ICE to pick them up, and because they've already lost their immigration case, the only ingredient missing between having them here and on a plane is that travel document from Cambodia. Does that make sense? Yeah. And so they went through the whole process years ago. Cambodia said, no, we're not putting this guy on a plane. Yeah.
I see. So it just recently the pressure is more on the Cambodian government. That's the reason why.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you very much. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.